Morning all, hope that you are well and hopefully not be very long now until I see some of you inside school and you get a bit more contact from us. But while we're still working from home, keep up the effort. Same things to start with, turn off your phone or make sure it's in a different room. Don't have any other tabs open just so you don't get distracted. Have a go at all the questions, pause the video, rewind if you need to. And main one, don't give up. First task then, answer the 6 questions on the first page of your student workbook. Have a go at all of them, look back at your notes from last time, pause the video now and have a go at those. So just check your answers. Number 1, writing a word equation for photosynthesis. Really important you learn this one because it comes up in chemistry and it comes up in biology. So photosynthesis is all about plants using carbon dioxide and water to produce glucose, which is the food for the plant, plus a byproduct is oxygen. Your second one, what are the 3 greenhouse gases? Carbon dioxide, methane and water vapour. Really important that you put vapour, not just water. Number 3, give 2 reasons CO2 levels fell in the Earth's early atmosphere other than photosynthesis. The big one, dissolving in oceans. Second one is forming rocks like limestone. Number 4, give 2 reasons carbon dioxide levels have risen recently. Burning fossil fuels, main one. Using cars, deforestation. Give 2 reasons methane levels have risen. Landfill, cattle, so your cows, and rice fields. And what happens to the wavelength of the radiation emitted from the sun when it reaches the earth? The wavelength gets longer, so the wavelength will get longer. So just check your answers on those. First off then, just a little bit of a recap of what we looked at last week. So the greenhouse layer is becoming thicker because there is more carbon dioxide, more methane and an increase in water vapour in the atmosphere. What does that mean then? So more of the reflected radiation is trapped. So some of the radiation from the sun comes down a short wavelength, some of the energy absorbed by the earth, so it then reflects off at a larger wavelength. That larger wavelength can't get through the CO2, methane or water vapour as easily. An effect of that then is it starts getting warmer. So impacts of climate change. So most scientists generally agree that man-made climate change is happening. So man-made just means we are causing it because of burning fossil fuels, chopping down trees, things that we are doing is causing the climate change. However, it is very complex. The global climate is extremely complex and making accurate predictions about what may happen is very difficult. This can lead to speculation and biased reporting in the media, especially people who are invested in a particular way, e.g. oil companies. So oil companies are going to make it sound like climate change is not happening because they want to sell more oil. If everyone says burning oil is bad, less people are going to buy it. So that would be biased reporting. So we looked at this slide last week and it's some of the consequences of climate change. So if you have a read of all of them, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's 11 different consequences. There's a lot more than that. But then you've got to think further, what are the potential consequences going further with that? So changes to in plant life cycle, what does that mean? It'll disrupt the food chain. So stronger storms, what does that mean? More flooding. More drought and wildfire, what does that mean? Plants can't grow as well, less food, habitats are destroyed. There's always a consequence for the thing previously. So have a look and have a think of a few that you could think of. So I've made a list of the ones that I could come up with. So if you have your warmer oceans, what could that mean? What are the consequences of that? It could change the migration of fish and whales and impact food chains, including the human food chain. Thawing permafrost, so that is like on the top of mountains. If that thaws, which means melt, what will that lead to? What's the consequence of that? It will lead to rising sea levels and the possibility of release of even more methane. Not good. Droughts, consequence of that, leading to crop failure. Wildfires, again, consequence of that, crop failure and damage to habitats, including human ones. Rising sea level, so that is going to reduce land on which humans can live and leading to floods. Less land we can live on, less areas we can grow food, so again impacts the food chain. What does that mean? It's going to be more expensive for us. Changes to plant life cycle, which will impact insects and so the rest of the food chain. Stronger storms, which can damage habitats, including ours. So there's lots and lots of consequences there that you've got to think about that aren't just it's getting warmer. What are the consequences of it getting warmer? And there's a few there. So next task is just complete the rest of that first page. There's just one more question underneath your starter. Just have a go at that. So pause the video now and have a go at that. So checking your answer on that then. So potential consequences, you could have had any 4 of these. So melting ice caps, loss of habitats for animals and plants, damage to coral reefs caused by warmer oceans, changes to animal migration patterns, extreme weather patterns, more hurricanes, heat waves, drought, snow, ice, difficulty growing crops, so reduce food supply. So any 4 of those. So the next part of today's lesson is looking at something called a carbon footprint. And carbon footprint can be your carbon footprint, it could be the carbon footprint of a company, an event, anything like that. So what actually is it? So this is defined as the total amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases emitted over the full life cycle of a product, event or service. So it's all the greenhouse gases, not just carbon dioxide, all the greenhouse gases. So the carbon footprint of the Olympic Games, for instance, is the total amount of greenhouse gases emitted from building the stadium, including the workers driving in every day to work, flying in athletes, cooking meals, lighting and heating indoor and outdoor stadiums, additional hotels being built and heating, and lots of other things. So the carbon footprint is everything together. We also talk about our individual carbon footprint, i.e. the ways in which we use products which affect the carbon and methane emissions. So key bit from this is that definition at the top. So what is a carbon footprint? The total amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases emitted over the full life cycle of a product, event or service. So just one for you to have a little bit of a think about. So what could the carbon footprint of a single event like a concert be made up of? So just pause the video now and have a little think. What could the carbon footprint of a concert be made up of? So the ones that I came up with were lighting and heating the concert hall, electricity used during the performance, the travel of all staff involved and the performers, the travel of the people coming to watch, the travel of all the people cleaning up afterwards, the collection of rubbish by a lorry, the burning / rotting of the rubbish produced. So lots and lots of things you've got to think about when you're coming up with the carbon footprint of an event. So next thing is, I want you to actually calculate your carbon footprint. I think it will really help you to understand what a carbon footprint is if you understand your own. So what makes up your carbon footprint? So all I want you to do is go to the website that is in the top right, so footprint.wwf.org.uk. So what I want you to do is calculate your carbon footprint. I don't need to know that, it's just for you to know. But I really want you to have a look at how you could reduce it. Tips for reducing a carbon footprint. So they will be specific to you, but then you can think others will probably have similar ones as well. So just go onto this website, exit the PowerPoint or pause the video, go onto this website and have a go at creating your own carbon footprint. Hopefully you've just had a go at creating your carbon footprint and looked at ways of reducing it. The problem with reducing carbon footprint is it's very difficult. Reasons for it are, if you said that you went on holiday, are you then going to turn around to someone and say you can't go on holiday anymore because you're releasing too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere? People want to go on holiday, so you can't really take that away from them. Hopefully you found that somebody who eats meat as opposed to a vegetarian are releasing a lot more carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere because of the cows that have to be bred for them. So should we tell everyone that you have to be vegetarian now, or even better for the environment, become a vegan? Should we tell people that, or should you be given the choice? Should we tell people to only get the bus everywhere, that they can't drive their own car now, because if everyone gets on a bus it's better than everybody driving their own car? It's really difficult to reduce everyone's carbon footprint because people want to do these things. So what I want you to do is have a go at page 3. So just complete the work on page 3. The first one is done for you. So answers then. So your first one was done for you. So car sharing or using public transport, which gas will be reduced? Going to be carbon dioxide, not burning as much. Difficulties. People want the convenience of your own car. Bus might not go to where you want it to go. Second one then, using more renewable energy resources like solar and wind. Reducing carbon dioxide. So if everyone used solar panels and wind turbines, brilliant. However, difficulties with it, it's very expensive to buy and install. Don't work all the time. So solar panel will only work when it's sunny. Wind will only work when it is windy. Breeding fewer animals for meat, so that's going to reduce your methane. Difficulties with that, people like to eat meat. Convincing people to change their eating habits is not easy. Next one then, fewer airline flights, again will reduce your carbon dioxide. Issue with that is people want to go on holiday, people have to travel for work, it's going to be very difficult to tell people not to do it. Buying less stuff, so less goes to landfill. That methane from landfill is going to reduce. What's issues with that? People like to buy new things, makes them feel good. Some people don't like buying second-hand things. Those are your issues. So just check your answers, change any if you've not quite got them right before we move on to the next part. So last little bit of new content then, just have a go at these learning checks. It's basically 6 questions about the key parts of today's lesson. So read them carefully and have a go at answering them. Just pause it when you are ready. Answers then. Number 1. What are the consequences of melting ice caps? Reduced habitats for animals, rising sea levels. Either one of those is perfect. What are the consequences for humans of droughts? Reduced ability to grow crops. Habitat could be destroyed. What is a carbon footprint? It's the total amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases emitted over the full life cycle of a product, event, or a service. Number 4, how can individual carbon footprints be reduced around the home? Turning off electrical appliances when not in use, eating less meat, turning the thermostat down, so less heating in your house. Number 5, how can individual carbon footprints be reduced in people's leisure habits? Take fewer flights, walk to places if you can, don't get your car, things like that. Number 6, why is it difficult to get people to reduce their carbon footprint? Because people like to eat meat, people like to go on holidays, people like their freedoms, if you want to call them that, and it's quite difficult to take them away. So just check your answers on those. Well done on that. It was quite a short new content, but very important that you had a go at it. And the best way for you to prepare for your exams next year is to answer as many exam questions as you can. So like on previous lessons, there's going to be some exam questions next. Have a go at them, don't give up, look back at the notes you've made, look back at the video, all the answers are in there somewhere. So just take your time. Have a go at the fluency test as well. That is the 3rd week now, so you should be getting much better at those skills. So just pause the video, have a go at the exam questions on your own. Fluency answers then. The one thing you're really good at is calculating a mean. Watch out for the anomaly. So there was one anomaly in the first one, it was the 5.1, so you should have 5.9 add 6.1 to get 6. Look that the answers, or what they give you in the question, are all to 1 decimal place. What that tells me is your answer should be to 1 decimal place. So 6.0, 10.1 and 14.3. Number 2 then, find the median. We've not actually done that yet, but hopefully from the math skills you can do that. The way you do that is put them in order. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The median is the one in the middle of all of that, so once you put them in order, it's the one in the middle of that, so it should be 0.14. Next one then, percentage decrease. Whether it's percentage increase or percentage decrease, you do the same thing every single time. So it's what you start with, 650. Take away what you ended up at, 220. So the difference between that is 430. Your difference divided by what you started with. So you start with 650. So your difference, which is just there, divided by what you started with, times it by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So any two of those three marks on that one. Next one then, uncertainty. Read the question carefully. It says for car 2, so we don't care about car 1, it's all about car 2. So what you're going to do is your biggest one, take away your smallest one, which is known as your range. So your biggest, take away your smallest, equals 2. To find the uncertainty, you've got to half that. You've got to divide by 2 afterwards. So the uncertainty is 1 meter per second. Hopefully we're getting good at that now. Next one then, change that into kilograms. Grams to kilograms, you divide by 1,000, because kilo means 1,000. Very difficult to write 1,000 on a laptop. Divide by 1,000. Write 3 significant figures, so look for your 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. That one, and then you look at your 4th one as well. Because that is 5 or above, you've got to round up this number. So you've got to do 7 to 6, but then it's still got to be around 7,259.6. So it's got to be in the 7,000 somewhere. So that is why you add the 0 and at the end. So 1, 2, 3 significant figures, and then you've got to make sure you add enough numbers to make it the correct number. Express it in standard form. Hopefully we're getting good at that now. So I would always put a decimal point in between your first 2 numbers and then count by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 3 times 10 to the 8. Also, speed like that, so make sure you know that one as well. Last one then, describe the pattern. We're getting good at this now, so always start with your independent variable. We are changing the length and then talk about the, in this case you'll have to talk about the mean on this one. So as the length increases, that'll get you 1 mark. What happens to the resistance? The resistance also increases. Have a look, is there any pattern? There is closest to a pattern. It roughly goes up in 0.7s. If you work it out, roughly about 0.7s. Last bit on your answers then is your exam questions. So this question is about the Earth's atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. What is another greenhouse gas? 1 mark for methane. B. Greenhouse gases cause global climate change. Give 2 effects of global climate change. There's lots, but you only need to have 2. Rising sea levels, melting ice caps, agriculture problems, so struggling to grow plants, extreme weather, loss of habitats, ignore global warming, acid rain, or global dimming, which you shouldn't know what that means yet because we've not done it. Next one, it says 4.1 kilograms of plastic used to make plastic bottles has a carbon footprint of 6 kilograms of carbon dioxide. Calculate the carbon footprint of 1 plastic bottle of mass 23.5. So there's a little bit of maths in this. You got to find out how many 23.5s go into 4.1. But you've got to convert, so that's a bit trickier, and then you've got to times it by 6 later on. So your answers there you should have got 0.0344 kilograms of carbon dioxide in there. So remember to convert your grams into kilograms, just down there like that, divide by 1,000, anything like that. Next one. Give one way the carbon dioxide emissions can be reduced when a plastic bottle is manufactured. Use less plastic, use recycled plastic, allow carbon capture, anything like that. Next one says figure 1 shows the change in global mean air temperature and global mean sea level from 1992 to 2016. Calculate the mean yearly increase in sea level between 1992 and 2016. So it's important that you look which side you want to go. So you're looking for the increase in sea level, so you're looking at this side. So 1992 it started at 0, in 2016 it ended up at, so looking for the dashes, it ended up at that point just there, so that is whatever that is just there. So it says calculate the mean yearly increase. So you've got to find out how much it's increased to. So 0.72. So 0.72 is how much it's increased by in that many years, but we want the yearly one, so you've got to divide it by how many years have taken place, which is 24 years. So you should have got 72, not 0.72, I misread it. So 72 divided by 24, and you should have got 3 millimeters a year, or 3 would have been enough. 3 then, give one reason why it is difficult to produce models for future climate change. It's a very complex system. Things might change a lot, many different variables, many alternative theories, anything along those lines. Second to last one then, describe how carbon dioxide helps to maintain temperatures on Earth. You should be thinking about this one, so this is just asking you to describe the greenhouse effect. So you need to say carbon dioxide allows short-wave radiation to pass through. Pass through where? The atmosphere of to the Earth's surface. Carbon dioxide absorbs outgoing long-length radiation. So basically saying the long wavelength radiation gets trapped inside, the short one can get through the atmosphere is what you're looking for on that. Last one then, explain how human activities have contributed to the main trend shown from 1910 to in the figure above. So you've got to look, basically first bit you've got to decide what the trend is. So there's 1910. What's the trend? The mean global temperature has gone up is what you've got to do first. So you're going to get 1 mark if you said general increase in temperature caused by an increase in greenhouse gases. That's your first one. And then you've got to say 2 reasons with increased greenhouse gases. We're burning more fossil fuels, deforestation causing more carbon dioxide, more cattle, more methane, using landfill, more methane as well. So you've got to name the gases as well. So what's the cause? Burning more fossil fuel causes more what? Carbon dioxide. Well done for having a go at this one. Slightly tricky one, but I think hopefully you're starting to get your head around it now. So if you're not quite getting there, just go back, redo it, and hopefully you'll start getting it again. Well done again, and I will send the lesson for next week.